an election special with John Solomon.
All right, folks, welcome back to our Just the News, Real America's Voice special, The Count, the Courts, and the Constitution. I'm John Solomon, and I'm your host tonight. And we are sticking with the Trump legal team. Now joining us is the senior legal advisor to the Trump campaign, Jenna Ellis, who brings with her some big news out of Michigan and Detroit. Jenna, welcome to the show, and tell us, what do you know?
Thanks so much for having me, John. And we just received word that the county board of canvassers refused to certify the election results in Wayne County. And
Wow.
so if the state follows suit and does not certify their election results in Michigan, which they shouldn't. We have been advocating for that every legal vote should count and should be counted fairly. Then this could impact the ultimate result that then the state legislature would then convene to cast their vote and determine who is selected on the slate of electors. So that's the constitutional process, and that's what the Constitution provides so that the people are not disenfranchised from their voice if and when there is corruption or foreign influence or any other problem with an election.
Wow, that is some big news. We got to absorb that. I mean, this is the largest voting center in Michigan. It's centered around Detroit. It's the place that just a few days ago we heard the extraordinary testimony of Jesse Jacobs, the longtime civil servant, who said, "I worked in the election center for weeks and I saw my own colleagues and I was instructed myself to backdate ballots illegally." Do you think her testimony and some of the other things that were going on there played a role in this momentous decision tonight?
I think so. And I think, this is a very fair and constitutionally appropriate result there in Wayne County. And I'm very proud of, this board of canvassers for making this decision and kind of getting out in front on this and saying we need to slow down. We cannot certify results that we don't know are accurate. That is what all of these states that we have such irregularities. We have the watchers, the observers that were being denied meaningful access to see the ballots, where these ballots were counted in secret. We have all of these claims about Dominion that's been changing the ballot results, this so-called glitch. I mean, all of these things we want to make sure we get to the bottom of, but the Democrats are the ones that are trying to just push Joe Biden into the Oval Office and just say, no, we just want to pretend that everything here was fine. They don't want to get to the bottom of this, fact find, and actually get to a true and genuine result. So the fact that Michigan is now the first state, this county in Michigan is the first county to do this for the first state, I think is hopefully going to start a trend where people are finally waking up and saying, Donald Trump is correct. There have been election irregularities. We have to make sure we preserve election integrity.
It's pretty extraordinary. Now, while this momentous event was going on in the Detroit area, you spent the day listening to Rudy Giuliani, your legal colleague, the head of the legal team, arguing in Pennsylvania. Tell us, how did things go in Pennsylvania so far?
Yeah, well, they're still ongoing, actually.
Right.
So I just left that argument to come up and join you, John. And so, what we are arguing for there in Pennsylvania, and the former mayor is doing such an excellent job explaining to the court why the state's motion to dismiss, the Secretary of State there, of course, is the one that's trying to get this kicked out.
Right.
So this is an argument on a motion to dismiss to basically say that we have no legal basis to bring forward our evidence to prove why we should get an injunction, which is, of course, is the legal term to say we need to just stop and wait to certify the election results in Pennsylvania. So basically the same thing that Michigan is already doing of their own accord. That's what we're fighting for in court, to be able to ask the court to require the state of Pennsylvania to do. So this has been going on since 1:30 today, and I think the mayor is doing an excellent job representing not only the Trump campaign, but election integrity as a whole. And this is something where, it's just shocking that anyone would even be arguing this for the other side to somehow say, no, let's just force this through. There are no genuine legal issues here, no issue of genuine material fact, when we have some 700,000 ballots that were counted in secret without the observers being able to actually have meaningful access and say, this is a vote that either is cast legally, it's a legal vote, or it's something that violates the law. Everyone should be okay with our system being open and transparent, and in fact, that's the law.
It's been at the heart of our system for so long. It wasn't that long ago where everybody just accepted that this is what we're supposed to do, and now you have all of these irregularities. I've listened to you talk for the last several days, and you've made some very important points that I think go beyond the fight of just Trump v. Biden, right? And that is that this is bigger than President Trump. This is really about preserving the way we've voted for 2 centuries. If election observers can be expelled at will, if ballots can be changed without legislative authority, if procedures can be changed by legislative authority without legislative authority, the rule of law, the elections that we know, the fairness that we've prided ourselves is in jeopardy. Talk a little bit about why this is so much bigger than just the current election that we're talking about.
Yeah, thank you for that, John. And it's so important to the future and preservation of free and fair elections in this country, because our founding fathers understood that unlike other countries where rulers are appointed either through heritage or by conquest, we, the people in this country, are the ones that own our government. We, the people, by the people, of the people, for the people. We, the people, get to select and prefer our leaders. We do that through a process. There's a separation of powers where only the legislative branch can make law. And so where you have all of these executive officers that are trying to manipulate and change the law for their own purposes, that's a violation of our legal system. It's a violation of how we operate government. And ultimately, it is trying to take away the people's voice and simply put in the candidate that they prefer. That's not how we do things in America. And if this can happen in this election, then you better bet it will happen in every future election. So that is why the president is so committed to fighting this, not just for the outcome of his own election, but for the future of our country. And because he is so proud to be an American and knows as a citizen himself why it is so incredibly important that we, the people, as citizens, select and prefer our leaders.
Now, the other side is going to say, well, what President Trump and the legal team is trying to do is they're trying to cancel your vote. Michigan may have just canceled your vote. If they throw out the 680,000 ballots in Pennsylvania, cancel your vote. How do you respond to that? Explain to the American people what's really going on here. We're not trying to cancel votes, right? You're trying to make sure that the votes that were legally counted were counted in the proper way. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, so let's take these 700,000 ballots, for example. When they say you're canceling your vote, who is you? That's what we don't know.
That's
and
right.
So when they say your vote, that could be a fraudulent vote. That could be a dead person's vote. That could be a non-resident vote. That could be counting the same ballots over and over and over again. That could be someone, who is a cat, who's a dog. I mean, we've seen that ballots were sent in the name of people's pets. So when they're saying you are not counting our vote, you have to determine who actually is the voter. And a ballot is not a vote. A ballot is a method by which a legal vote may be cast, but that's why there are all of these security provisions. And let's remember that before the election, it was Democrats who were trying to undermine all of the election safeguards to remove signature matching. They said that voter ID was somehow racist. I mean, they made all of these incredibly ridiculous claims to try to remove the safeguards for election integrity that President Trump was saying, hey, let's just make sure that all of these votes are counted legally so that we can make sure to preserve the integrity of our election. Because, John, you and me, we the people of America, of course, our vote and our legal vote should count, but we shouldn't be counting votes of people who aren't qualified to participate in this election. I'm not qualified to participate in any other country's election, nor should I be. So we have to make sure that it's only every legal vote that counts. And as a non-resident of another state, all of those things go into our system. You have to make sure that every person who votes and their vote counts through a method that is legal. That's why we have safeguards and laws around the ballots.
Well, that's a very important part to make, and what we're going to try here at Real America's Voice and Just the News to keep reminding people. Jenna, I know you got a busy night. You're probably going to get back to that Pennsylvania hearing. Big news out of Michigan. We're going to want to get you back soon to help make sense of all of the dramatic things happening around us. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Sounds good. Anytime, John. Thanks.
All right, folks, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we got two of our best experts here, Dr. Gina Loudon and Governor Eric Greitens. We're going to break down everything we just heard.
An election special with John Solomon.
America's Voice is your chance to be a part of the political story. There's finally a platform for your news, your opinion, and your life. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. At America's Voice, you're not just a viewer, you're a news contributor.